Welcome, everyone. This is Brandy Renee, sending light and love, and even a little extra light and love as we are going to discuss baby blues, postpartum depression, and anxiety and stress during pregnancy. This video is in honor of Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week, and it is near and dear to my heart because I have struggled with all of the things that I just named. And my goal here is to inform you all a little bit more about the differences between baby blues and postpartum depression, as well as to destigmatize all the different anxiety, stress, and mental health experiences, poor mental health experiences that you might have on your journey to bringing a new life into this world. So by sharing my story, I hope that I give voice to other women to share their stories, to have this sort of snowball effect where we're all making people around us aware of the true realities of having a child. So yes, this can be one of the most exciting and happy times in a woman's life, but it's also a major life transition. By having these conversations, we move toward destigmatizing baby blues, postpartum depression, as well as prenatal anxiety and depression, so that women who are experiencing them are more likely to access the support that they need. So we're going to jump right into baby blues. This is something that I experienced in both of my pregnancies with my daughters. And I literally felt like, what the heck is going on? And what is wrong with me? And why me? But the March of Dimes has proven that this is something that most moms experience. More specifically, the March of Dimes report that 4 out of 5 new moms experience baby blues. Y'all, that's 80% of new mothers who might be experiencing anxiety, wondering why they're crying so much, or just feeling sad, feeling overwhelmed, having a difficult time making decisions, or even having a difficult time sleeping, even when the baby is taking a nap. So the onset of baby blues is typically 2 to 3 days after giving birth, and it usually lasts up to 2 weeks. These feelings and increased anxiety, loss of appetite, or that lack of ability to make decisions that you feel are good decisions usually go away on their own. It's usually self-resolved or taken care of with a little self-care. So, in my personal experience, that's exactly what happened. I had my first daughter, my oldest daughter, in 2017. It was a pregnancy I was very proud of because I'd gone full term. She was here. She was healthy. I was feeling good about myself. And this was after coming off of a pregnancy loss and infant loss 3 years earlier. And so I thought everything's going to be butterflies and rainbows, and we're just going to enjoy each other. And I'm going to be feeling super great as I transition smoothly into motherhood, right? So I had all of these pressures that society put on us as new mothers locked in my head as my own personal expectation of myself. So when baby blues set in, I was so confused. I'm like, wait, I'm happy. Like, I have my baby here. She's healthy. Like, why can't I sleep? Y'all, I could not sleep at all. I remember specifically that in all of my classes, baby one-on-one, or even just talking to new moms, they would tell me as soon as she goes to sleep, take a nap, because that might be your only opportunity to sleep. So I was, trying to take the advice, but I couldn't do it. I was waking up every few minutes to just make sure she was breathing. And yes, mine might have been a little intensified because I had experienced the loss and I was afraid of losing her. And it was one of my trauma responses. But also, this is very consistent with baby blues. It's that inability to sleep due to the anxiety that you're feeling. I also wasn't having a really good time with nourishing my body, which was super important because I was on a breastfeeding journey and the stress and anxiety that I was feeling was actually impacting my milk supply. But I just did not have it together. And I'm so used to holding things together and doing good at new ventures and things like that. And this just was just not the experience. So after a couple weeks, it slowly started to lessen. So I was able to sleep a little more. I was able to accept the help and support that I had from my husband and my mom, who, thank you so much if you're watching this, because she would stop by and wash clothes for us or even just make us a meal that we can eat on for that night and into the next morning. And so that was super helpful. And she had been offering to come by and help since we got home, which was 24 hours after I had my oldest. And I was like, no, I got it. Don't worry. I had everything cleaned, before I went into labor. And DJ's here. He can just cook. And the reality was that we both were so extremely tired. And then I was definitely even more tired because I was nursing and I wasn't getting sleep pretty much at all. And so the first thing that I would say that helped me overcome baby blues was to accept help. It's okay. It doesn't make you a bad mom. The second thing that I did was try to eat nutritiously, which was difficult once I got my appetite back. But try to eat nutritiously. So I would try to have like a green smoothie in the morning or whatever time of day I was having breakfast because it wasn't like the traditional time. So that was helping me to feel fueled and to get like all the necessary vitamins I need, which can help to sort of accelerate balancing those hormones that are contributing to the stress, the anxiety, the excessive crying, and just everything that we feel right after we come home from delivering a child. Another thing that really helped me was just expressing myself to my confidants in my life. So just picking up the phone and letting them know how I was feeling. And especially if it was a mother, like, hey, is this normal? Like, did you experience this? What did you do? That sort of thing. Because those short conversations can be so validating. And with that validation, we begin to feel better about ourselves and take off some of the pressure that society has put on us to be perfect in mothering from the very beginning. So if you're experiencing some of the things that I discussed, but you feel like it's getting better and you're not having any thoughts of harming yourself or harming your baby, or you don't feel like you're in a mental health or psychiatric emergency, you might be experiencing baby blues. But what I'm going to encourage you to do is anytime you're really feeling overwhelmed or feeling like you're getting more symptoms, please do reach out to your healthcare provider and let them sort of provide a diagnosis for you so that you don't have to worry about an additional stress and differentiating between if you're having baby blues or something more seriously like postpartum depression. So a lot of the same presenting characteristics and symptoms can be also a part of postpartum depression. And I think that causes a little bit of confusion. So, yes, postpartum depression can also cause weepiness and anxiety and stress, but it often also or cause mothers to feel a lack in pleasure in doing the things that they normally love. It does also affect their decision making. It might make a woman feel like she just wants to be alone. And so the defining characteristic, or one of the defining characteristics between baby blues and postpartum depression, is the duration and the intensity in which you feel these symptoms coming up. So with my youngest daughter, I got home, and that pregnancy in itself was sort of difficult for me. I had a lot of life changes during my pregnancy with her. So a lot of great things happened, but they culminated at the same time and caused me a lot of stress. So we purchased a home 2 months before I had her, which meant that, yes, we purchased a home. Great, yay. It's a big goal. I don't mean to take away from that, because it was one of the biggest goals that we achieved together. But we moved to an entirely different city, which meant that I also changed my healthcare providers and team that I truly loved. I also was in my second master's program and trying to finish out my practicums. I had also started a new job, y'all, but that's a lot of life transitions. At the same time, there was a lot of conflict happening in my larger family. And so while I had thought I had everything together at home and at work, all of those stressors together was just weighing on to be too much for me to carry. So toward the end of my pregnancy with my youngest daughter, I just felt like I was out of control. I was stressed all the time. I was feeling very anxious all the time. So it's not surprising that once I had her, I did develop postpartum depression. And so I had some of the same symptoms, the anxiety. I also had the inability to eat when I needed to nourish my body. But I also had a lot more weepiness, a lot more crying, a lot of confusion, just feeling like I wanted to be by myself. I felt like I was having some trouble bonding with my daughter. Like, even though I was nursing her and everything, I just felt like I was so stressed that I wasn't able to make the connection that I wanted to make with her right off the bat, like I did with my first. And I was so just not myself. I just was not myself. And the feelings, I can feel the marked difference between the baby blues and postpartum depression. As the days, weeks, minutes went on, I was not getting better. I was getting much worse as the days went on. I just felt like, wow, it's hard for me to find a descriptor, but I just felt out of control. That was the best way that I can explain it. And I didn't know I was having postpartum depression initially, because I'd experienced baby blues and it just went away. And also, I wasn't having negative thoughts about harming my baby or harming myself, but I was feeling depressed most of the day and on most days. So one day, y'all, I was like, I had hit my breaking point. I got a moment to myself, and I went into the room and I said, okay, I'm just gonna try to take a nap and just breathe and put myself back together. And I ended up in a crying fit. I mean, like weeping in the full nine. And I just remember feeling confused, like, but I'm happy. I have a great partner. I have everything that I need for my baby. She's beautiful. She's doing well. But I couldn't seem to keep it together. And so I remember just reaching for my phone and calling the appointment line. And I was like, I need to see a therapist. I'm 3 weeks postpartum. I'm not really feeling like I'm getting better. In fact, I'm unable to control my emotions and myself. I'm feeling down all the time. I'm having a difficult time just making decisions and eating and all of those things. And they were able to give me an appointment to see a therapist. So now let's go over why someone would experience what I experienced or some of the other symptoms of postpartum depression. And as most things are explained through pregnancy, hormones. A lot of hormones are fluctuating and trying to find their normal or their new normal. And with that being said, it really has an impact on our emotional and mental well-being. Also, as I said in the beginning, we need to keep in mind that having a child is a major life change. Even if you have other children, that just means that you have 2, 3, 4 or more children to then take care of. And when we have children, I don't know if y'all know, but we don't get an extra 8 hours to take care of those kids. We have to make do with what we have, right? One of the resources that we cannot control is time. And so a lot of that extra pressure and having someone who's relying on you for everything that they need can feel like a lot. So while postpartum depression can affect anyone really who's recently just had a baby, um, you can be at higher risk for experiencing postpartum depression. And some of those factors can include having prenatal depression, so experiencing stress, anxiety, and depression while you're pregnant. That can lead to a higher risk of you experiencing PPD once you actually give birth. Experiencing pregnancy loss or infant loss, which is something that I experienced. Also, if you in a normal situation live with a mental health disorder like anxiety or depression, that also puts you at a higher risk. And I live with anxiety and I developed post-traumatic stress disorder after giving birth to my twin boys. So yes, I was at a much higher risk of having PPD than some other women. But what's important to know is that nobody told me that I was at a higher risk. And so I was glad that I listened to my intuition and followed my gut to get help, because I was experiencing postpartum depression and there was no way on earth I wanted to continue the way that my journey into raising my youngest child was going. So y'all, when I finally got to my therapy appointment, I was like, okay, I'm going to hold it all together. And, I'm just going to share a little bit about what I'm experiencing. But as soon as she asked me my name, I started crying. Because remind you, I was in the thick of postpartum depression. And for the next hour, and she said very little, for the next hour, I was just crying and blowing my nose and trying to get my face together because, I came there with the goal of looking put together. I mean, I had my makeup on, I had on a cute outfit, and that's not how it went. I literally just put it all out there. And she didn't seem to mind. And it was one of the most healing spaces I had experienced. So by starting my journey to self-compassion, seeing a therapist weekly, and journaling on a daily basis, I started to feel relief of some of my symptoms within 1 to 3 days, if I'm remembering correctly. And I was able to resolve all of my symptoms associated with postpartum depression within a month. I want to say it was about 3 weeks, but definitely within that first month. And each day, then at that point, I was getting better and not worse. And that made me feel empowered because I felt like I finally had a hold on my feelings and I was better able to bond with and enjoy my new baby because she is beautiful and I was so happy to have her with me. If you like this video or if it resonated with you in any ways, please like and don't forget to subscribe. This month in honor of Mother's Day, as well as Maternal Mental Health Awareness Week, I'm going to be covering all of the taboo topics associated with pregnancy and motherhood, including pregnancy loss and infant loss, and also just going through ways that we can externalize all the unrealistic pressures that's put on parents and mothers every single day that does incite anxiety and stress in our lives. As always, sending you vibes for love, wellness, success, and happiness. Bye.